year, men, women, and children fall victim to human trafficking. In 2021, over 10,000 incidents of human trafficking were reported by the U.S. National Human Trafficking Hotline. That includes over 16,000 individual victims of human trafficking, likely only a fraction of the true amount of victims. Human trafficking is not a distant issue. It doesn't happen just in other countries, and it impacts us globally, affecting your neighbors, your community, and unfortunately, sometimes your family members. Having worked with at-risk youth and the marginalized, underserved community, I have seen firsthand how quickly someone can fall victim and fall prey to one of these predators when you're desperate or in need. Human trafficking is a violation of human rights, and what it entitles and what it is modern day slavery. And it's our responsibility to combat through awareness and advocacy how to improve life for the victims of human trafficking. I'll discuss the extent of human trafficking, I'll confront a few of the common misconceptions, and then I'll suggest a few ways that we can combat this together as a community. First, we need to understand the magnitude and the scope of the problem. Many believe that human trafficking is a rare and limited occurrence. And the truth of the matter is that it's a global crisis, and according to the International Labor Organization, 28 million victims worldwide fall prey into forced labor. The U.S. Immigration, Customs and Enforcement, ICE, states that human trafficking is a global crime that trades in people of all genders, ages, backgrounds, and exploits them for profit. The impacts on victims are severe and long-lasting. They can stem from eating disorders, anxiety, depression, and panic disorder. There's also a hidden additional risk to victims, and that is the distrust of law enforcement and community members. That adds an additional obstacle when it comes time for rescue and assistance from law enforcement. People are of the opinion that human trafficking is beyond human suffering. It also has broader societal impacts. Forbes magazine, for instance, has noted that human trafficking has accumulated over $150 billion in illegal profit annually. And it does that on top of adding burden to societal and social services. Despite these facts, there's still misconceptions about human trafficking. One is that the problem is not here. Like I mentioned earlier, human trafficking is a global issue. It does not only happen in third world countries and in poorer communities. We believe that thousands of cases are reported every year, according to the International Labor Organization, and victims fall in all demographics and come from all regions. Another misconception is that only certain people are at risk. It's a stereotype that only vulnerable populations fall prey. Again, I mentioned earlier, marginalized groups are often at higher risk. However, human traffickers can and do make victims from any kind of background. Another viewpoint is that the issue is too big and you can't have a real impact, and so you don't even bother. But small actions like spreading awareness, supporting anti-trafficking groups, all contribute to the minimization of suffering for the victims. So I've clarified a few of the misconceptions, and now I'm going to talk about some actionable ways that you can get involved and help in the human trafficking issue. Imagine a community where everyone is aware of the signs of human trafficking and knows how to report it. Vigilance is oftentimes a very important part of preventing human trafficking and saving victims. So what can we do about it? We can start by educating ourselves. There are a lot of free and readily available resources online to educate yourself on the signs of human trafficking. You can also support organizations like Polaris and the National Trafficking Hotline, and consider volunteering or donating or even advocating for victims' rights in your local community. By taking these steps, you can and do make a significant impact in the lives of those suffering at the hands of human traffickers. So I've discussed the global reach of human trafficking, I've debunked a few common misconceptions and myths, and I've outlined a way that each of you can contribute to the ending of this inhumane practice. So it's time for us to take action now, whether through education, advocacy, or direct support of victims. Remember that human trafficking is not just a them issue, it's an us issue, and it's not a distant issue, it's happening all around us. Let's be the change that we want.